day, freaks. I'm here to give you a read straight from the hip with lots of lip, and we're going to dive into a little frequency forecast to see what's on deck for the collective as we move through this week. And I already got a really interesting download coming in. I'm doing this as part of the Aries Point. We are heading into the home stretch. I got 11 more days traveling with you all to complete our 40 days of this journey we kicked off together to prepare, cleanse, clear, align, activate as we move up to that Aries point when Aries takes over the North Node position, and Taurus is giving over the field for Aries to take that spot where we move into the place of the initiator. So really important time we're heading into right now. We do have on the 20th another Aries new moon, the double new moon. It's a very rare astrological occurrence and it's significant. This is a time of big, big, big beginnings. These beginnings are going to carry weight for some time to come, so it's important we get off on the right foot. We are looking at this piece of we will definitely be having these energies that get kicked in with the Aries new moon, this second one coming up on the 20th for a good 6 months, because this second new moon is also coming in with a total solar eclipse. All right. So it's about to get really interesting. Just as I said that, what do I see on the bottom of the deck? We got the Tower. Okay. And this goes right in alignment. This goes right in alignment with my download coming in today. I think we're in for a very unusual week. Okay. So the download I got was, what would happen if we entered a black hole? Well, I'll tell you what would happen if we entered a black hole. We would get this process called spaghettification, as in spaghetti, like for real. Maybe it's going to be raining meatballs this week. I don't know. I think things are going to get a little Dali-esque, a little surreal. Spaghettification is when you would have compression from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, but you'd be stretching at the same time. And I feel like that's very symbolic for the experiences that are on deck for us this week and what we should be prepared for. So there's this real sense that we're going to have this compression. Okay. So when I think of compression, I think of a few things. First of all, I think of this piece of distilling something, right? Distilling something down to its barest essence, really getting down to the core of things. Seeing what things are made of, right? When you compress something, you see what it's made of. And I feel like we're all going through this compression process. With compression, there's also pressure too. It's this this feeling of just really being so contained, so pressurized, okay, to a certain extent, where the need to just like break out of that confinement becomes overwhelming. The need to take some kind of action, take some kind of risk. But this pressurized state serves a purpose, because in this state of pressure, you're also having illuminated to you a very core truth that you wouldn't really come to unless you were under that kind of weight. You know what I'm saying? It's like the things that really are important to us at the end of the day come forward when we feel like we don't have the ability to act, or where we feel very frustrated or we feel confined. We really get down to the marrow of who we are, what's important to us, what matters to us at the end of the day. And so I really see this energy coming forward very strongly. Everybody is dealing with this like pressure point in their lives in one way or another. And it depends, how you're viewing the world. Some of you may view this as a very oppressive feeling. Others of you may feel like it's the building point, like you're conserving that energy and you're really working with that energy to, you know, gather it so that when it does bust out, which it will with that tower, okay, something's going to blow its top this week. There's a couple different ways something can blow its top, all right? I mean, it can be an outburst, it can be a revelation, it can be somebody popping off, it can come out from a place of being very angry, you know, argumentative, wanting to cause a scene, or it can be extremely transformational when we look at the energy of, like, for example, Kundalini rising that blows the top in another sort of way. Okay. So it's all about how you want to work with the energy. Do you want to work with the energy in a destructive way? Or do you want to work with the energy in a creative way? I encourage creative, all right, but you know, destruction also plays its role. Sometimes we do need to go that place where we do lose our heads, where we get out of the heads. Maybe there's been too much energy contained for far too long, and there's really the necessity to just let it all out, let it flow. Maybe you're willing to hang consequences at this time. Maybe you're not feeling as stuck as you were at a certain point. That's the other thing that happens when we're in this compressed state, right? We get this frustration where soon we say, forget logic. I can't stay in this state anymore. I got to take some kind of action. I got to make some kind of move. I got to work with this energy somehow, or else I'm just going to go nuts. Okay. So there's a lot of ways that you can blow your top, so to speak. Okay. But all of this is a very cathartic process. We know that because with spaghettification, you're not just being compressed, you're being stretched at the same time. And there's this piece almost like you've been so like looking at the bigger picture. This message has been coming in for a while. You've been so looking at the bigger picture that you're ignoring the details. And right now, the details are everything. And that's why you're being put in this like compressed, pressurized state. So you can really distill your truth down to its core essence. And it's only when you have this kind of understanding that you'll be able to really work with that energy in a creative way to launch yourself, catapult yourself into a whole new reality, right? Very interesting. Bottom of the deck energy, Page of Swords, Air Sign Collective, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. This is daring. This is really getting to the core of things. This is being ready to take an action, a swift action, maybe an unexpected action. It's a bit of a maverick sort of energy, all right? You can't just look at the Page of Swords. As soon as you see the Page of Swords, think subterfuge, okay? There's shadow and light to every card in the deck, all right? But when this page is upright, this is really working with what you got and working with it in a very crafty way, working it with it in a crafty way that's also a bit rebellious, perhaps a bit daring, but it can bring a lot of exciting things into the mix. So let's do a shuffle here and let's just see what is coming up for the collective this week. What is the frequency forecast? How can we align with it? This is for all signs: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Ophiuchus, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. All significant placements: Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, North Node, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Pluto, because of the astrology in play right now, or a loaded house, all right? Let's see what we need to do to align with this energy. We know we can't play it safe. There's no more time for safe spaces. The situation has become such that there's too much pressure. It has to be relieved through action. So this might require you to do something that you normally wouldn't do. It might require that you be a little bit brave, collective. You might have to take a risk. You might need to speak a truth. Maybe this truth is a little daring to put this truth out there. Hello, welcome. We got a really interesting energy coming in for this week, so I'm excited to dive into this. I got a few cards to work with. We got some decisions that are being made. Absolutely, I see that right here. We still have something that we're a little stuck on where we're in the crossroads. We'll have a look at that. Yeah, we got some daring happening here. Okay, King of Pentacles, Earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. And we got that coming in with the Seven of Swords. All right. So again, we have to remember these towers can come one of two ways. All right. We can use that tower energy if we really work with alchemy. We can work with that tower energy in a creative way. All right. Or you can ignore your shadow and you can operate in a destructive manner. Okay. This is moving in a destructive manner. This is not being aware of the ways you sabotage yourself. This is the ways that you can get caught up on just like the end result, the end goal, hungering for superficial things, thinking that anything to lead to you obtaining what you want is all fair game. It doesn't matter how you move, doesn't matter how you move to get what you want, to get your success, to achieve your success. This is a little frightening here because this energy is already, this action's already been taken. So we see here that somebody's already moved out of pocket, and it's not something that's just in the realm of thought anymore, not with pentacle energy showing up on the scene. This is something that is actually happening. Okay, somebody's made a move. It's a questionable move. It's a move where they know they're not really moving correctly. But they really want success in this situation, and so they'll do whatever they have to do to get it. Forget about who gets hurt. Okay, so I see that this is already in motion right now, but there is a crossing energy over it, and it's not being paid attention to because this is face down. This is what's not seen in this matter. Womp, womp. Nine of Pentacles in reverse. It has the opposite result. As the opposite result. This leads to no success. This leads to reversal of fortune, reversal of progress, reversal in the growth that has been gained. Okay, so this is something we need to be mindful of. You know, we're going to be held to a higher standard right now because we are working our way up towards really moving into that Taurus North Node energy before we have the changing of the guards with that Aries point coming up in July. Okay, so normally this Nine of Pentacles, this is pre-Empress energy. It's in reverse. It's in reverse. So this is heading south. This is going more into the Scorpio South Node, which is the wrong direction. Okay. So maybe what this is saying, because of the black hole imagery that came in and that feeling of being compressed and stretched at the same time, this might be a bit of like the chickens coming home to roost energy for some of the Earth sign collective. You know, this might be that you took an action in the past, something you wanted to have success in. This might have also been related to some kind of material gain. Maybe you moved a little questionably to get that material gain. This could also be involving an Earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. But because there was something that was unethical here, something wasn't conducted correctly, this could be in the area of business too. It's sort of like it's coming back around to bite you. You know, you realize, oh, when I move out of shadow, this is the result. I might have an instant reward. There might be some instant gratification, but in the end, it leads to a reversal. Okay. So there's something that's going to be illuminated about the way you moved in the past that was out of integrity. This is something related to a superficial pursuit. I really feel like it has to do with money. It has to do with business, you know, trying to gain some kind of unfair advantage, moving unethically to gain some kind of advantage. That's the thing with this kind of atmosphere right now. What's going on astrologically, there's a lot of karma coming to a head too. Okay, this could have been in regard to a romantic pursuit as well, because we got the Knight of Cups here. So this shows that there was some kind of movement forward. It wasn't quite ethical, okay, related to an offer of perhaps romance, some kind of dalliance. Okay, we got the Queen of Pentacles on the other side, so I know very well this is coming up very strongly for Earth sign collective, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. With a Knight of Cups energy, it could also involve a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Doesn't have to though. With the Knights, it's usually not so much about an actual player on the board. It's more just like the type of action taken. So it seems that there was some kind of emotional offer made, but it feels like this emotional offer is coming from a very manipulative place. All right, with the Seven of Swords, there's a desire for some kind of gain. My belief is that it's a monetary gain. It's a monetary gain because we got the Nine of Pentacles here. It's clear that somebody's wanting to gain an advantage financially. They want to have the good life. Okay, this could be offering emotions solely for the desire of gaining some kind of status, some kind of stability, some kind of financial reward. This could also be somebody, because we do see a true pair here, this could also be somebody that's already in a commitment and they're advancing towards somebody. I could see this too. This could also be if you're advancing towards somebody like this and you're moving unethically, you may destroy all that you had built for yourself, okay, with this Nine of Pentacles energy. Nine of Pentacles upright is really being in a place where you're financially solvent. It's a very independent energy too, so you built it for yourself. You're seeing a lot of growth in your life. You're really in your element. You're feeling yourself. You're feeling good. There's a lot of pleasure in your life. So this is an independent energy. And to see that this is like a committed union here, this is two people who are working together. Now, this could be in business, okay, or it could be a committed couple, like living together in a serious relationship. This could also be, you know, there's a commitment here. This is not casual. It could also be in a business arrangement, but I don't think it's business because there's a Knight of Cups here. So what I feel is somebody is behaving as if they're an independent energy. They're behaving as if they are single, but they're not really single. They're in a commitment. This is why they're moving out of pocket with the Seven of Swords. There's some kind of advance happening here, okay? Now with that message that came through about the black hole in the beginning and the spaghettification about compression, to lead to expansion. This might be, like this is coming back around the bend. Maybe this is something that happened in the past. Maybe you thought you cleared this out. It's coming back around to bite you. Oof, somebody's being weighed up for karma. We got the Hangman here. Hangman here. Here's another player on the board. Might have something to do with the King of Wands, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Strong Sagittarian influence here. We see that with the Temperance. There's a need for balance in this situation. Something wasn't balanced out properly. And now it's like the piper's coming to be paid. Piper's coming to be paid with that Nine of Pentacles in reverse. This could also have something to do with a Virgo, okay, with a Hermit here. We did have that earth sign energy come in, so we're getting some clues about players on the board. And here we got air, this Page of Swords, okay, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, all right? So somebody here has been paying attention. Somebody knows what's up. They got a certain vision. They got a certain lay of the land, all right? And there's something that's coming through here from Air Sign Collective. Could potentially be air and fire teaming together with the King of Wands to the Page of Swords. Could also be somebody who has air and fire strongly aspected in their chart that has some kind of awareness. They got some kind of plan they're setting in motion. We know they got a plan. They're moving very decisively. We know this with the Page of Swords, and it leads to a big victory for them. Look at this, victory. After victory, we got the Star. Okay, with that air sign energy coming in, again, the Star, this is a further confirmation. Could be Aquarius factoring in very strongly. This is also that Pluto in Aquarius energy. It's about doing something to really shake things up, bringing on the tower. Maybe these parties were subject to a tower in the past, air and fire, and now they're like, now I'm delivering a tower. It's an awakening moment. What we got going on here? What do you have to say? I gave myself a mohawk the other day. Then I thought I'd zest up my birthday so it went from looking like a baby bird in its nest to looking like a mix between a mighty eagle. All right, Ken, get on with your and an old buzzard. I love it. Cheers. Cheers, man. Cheers to you. That's where it's at, man. I mean, shake it up. Shake it up. Whatever. Work with that Pluto energy. It's time to kind of do things out of the box. It's okay to reinvent yourself. It's okay to like switch it up, try something new. There's some big victory coming here, okay? Coming in here. We see this with the sun, okay, to the 3 of Cups. This is a celebration. It's a celebration that comes in after a time of a lot of confusion, illusion, and being trapped and stuck. And this might have been from some kind of interference that was keeping the soul connection from coming together. All right. Very interesting. Yeah, there again, this energy is coming through. There's something hidden around Earth sign collective here, all right? Something, this might have been hidden messages, okay? We do have the High Priestess here. Water sign collective showing up again with that High Priestess Pisces energy on the board, okay? So maybe there was some kind of secret messaging. There's something here that's been happening behind the scenes. Somebody didn't move correctly. It looks like air and fire were impacted by this, held back, kept in the dark. There's a lot of illusion sown here, a lot of confusion sown here. I feel like the pressure is on with this situation. I feel like things are coming to a head. I feel like things are coming to the head in the sense of a tower's coming. I almost feel, though, that this is a matter where air and fire are delivering a tower. That's what I got. Air and fire delivering a tower. There's going to be some news that comes through. I feel like somebody had some plan. They thought it was going to give them a lot of gain. They thought they were going to get ahead somehow. They were going to have some kind of special advantage. It doesn't work out as they thought. It ends up being disappointing. This is like, having to go and like move away from a situation that you thought was going to give some kind of reward to go back and lick your wounds. And I hate to think, but it looks like this way. Try to figure out, your next way to move forward and go on the attack again. Okay, there's something going on in this situation here. We got a messy situation here, and it's coming to the pressure point. We have to look at the real problem here, okay? The real problem here is that 7 of Swords. This is what causes the issues. This is what causes the problems in these social dynamics. We have to remember that Pluto is in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules over friends, community, networks, the World Wide Web, all right? So it's all about how we come together as a community. And when you got this kind of energy and play, this 7 of Swords, this is what causes all the problems. This is what causes all the division. This is what causes issues in relationships. This is what causes fights in social circles. This is what causes all the division that we see happening on a worldwide level. It's an absence of the truth. And right now, being in this age of the Kali Yuga and it reaching that, real head, it's coming to a head. It's just, that kind of moving around is just not going to be tolerated. It's not. It's so out of harmony with the energy that's building, in the multiverse at this time. It's so out of alignment with the frequency that it's going to be ultimately disruptive. It's going to be ultimately disruptive. It's a big truth being revealed time. I got like this energy of the Wizard of Oz, at that point where everybody's been on this journey. You have, the so-called wicked witch Elphaba, who just wanted, to get back her family heirloom. She just wanted to get back her birthright, Dorothy's house fell on her sister. And then here Dorothy and the so-called good witch runs off with, the family heirloom. They steal. And Elphaba's like, oh, hell no, we're not going to put up with that. I'm going to get back what's rightfully mine. Nobody messes around with me like that. I'm going to avenge my sister's name. So, it's kind of funny she get cast as the bad guy, but really, if you think about it, Elphaba was just getting what was rightfully hers that was stolen from her by the so-called good people in this situation, right? And then you have Glinda, okay, who comes off all syrupy, sweet. And so I feel like this is playing a role. I think you're dealing with all of these people in your life on one level or another. There's somebody here who's just been going after what is rightfully theirs. It's their birthright. It's something that's been aligned for them. They've been, focusing on their own yellow brick road. They've been going their own way. They've been doing their own thing. They've been minding their own. And they didn't get involved in the mix until somebody came along and tried to interfere in their shit. Then they got riled up. And that person's your Elphaba in the situation. And I'm going by Elphaba because I'm going by the book Wicked by Gregory Maguire. That's an excellent book. And I definitely encourage people to read that book because that book is so, so, so on point about so many socio-political issues. And it's the way we can like demonize people, because we don't understand where they're coming from. We don't understand their story. We don't understand their struggle. We don't understand their walk of life. They're on a different path than us, and really in that book, I loved it because Elphaba was vilified because she was different. She was different. She was a rebel. She broke the mold. She worked with that Plutonian energy, and people always fear what they don't understand. And likewise, people may also experience fear as you start to make choices for yourself that don't fit in their neat little parameters of who they think you should be, or it somehow shakes up their world. Okay. And that itself is a tower. Then you got Glinda, who was pretended like she was all love and light, but she was like this master manipulator, right? She was this total master manipulator. She came off syrupy sweet and, oh, I'm the good witch. But really, she was just majorly playing people, manipulating people, pulling their strings, all right? So you may be dealing with some people that are smiling to your face. They pretend like they're your friend, but they're really kind of dogging you out behind your back. And you're going to need to, pay attention to your intuition when it comes to sussing that out. But I feel like there's going to be a little help from the universe, this week as we move through this week because of that initial download. It's like everything is being compressed. It's reaching that pressure point, and it's reaching that pressure point so it can finally like blow with the tower and move into expansion. Okay, so we can really get a lay of the land and see what it is. It's very interesting the way fire and air came out, though. It's almost like fire and air is like, yeah, well, we know it's, it's almost like fire and air sort of received like the shit end of this stick, back when the Seven of Swords action happened. And they've just been biding time with this Page of Swords. It looks like water and earth are kind of trying to figure out how to do some cleanup. That's what I got here. They're readying themselves. That's what it looks like. And you can distill this, compress this also by looking at how air, fire, water, and earth plays out in your chart. Okay, so where do you have earth? Where do you have water? That lets you know where you might have some cleanup work to do, or where you might be sabotaging yourself or something you're not quite looking at, right? So don't get all myopic. Don't get so hung up on the signs. Although some of you are going to be like, I know exactly who those characters are. All right. Then we also have, we have all the players in the board. We have Dorothy, who just wanted to find home, so she set herself off on this crazy adventure that ended up being like a major stress. It took her forever to find her way home. But if she just like, would have stayed put and appreciated what she already had, she never would have had to go through all of that. But it's almost like, again, that compression point, right? She had to go through all that stress. She had to go through this, fear of not being able to get back home. She had to go through all that craziness and darkness that she had to face, her shadow, to realize I just should have appreciated what I had all along. So there's going to be a lot of people that are coming to those conclusions too, where they thought that home was achieving this thing or being in a relationship with this person, or they thought it was something outside of themselves, but they're coming to realize like, oh my God, I had the power all along. And in some cases, I already had it. I already had home and I didn't appreciate it and I didn't value it and I threw it away. I lost the keys to the kingdom, that kind of energy, reckoning with that, and also being sort of at odds with the self over that, struggling with this realization, struggling with this realization. There might be some people who weren't so agreeable at one point, now looking to try to work things out. Let's talk it out. Let's work it out. But, I don't think that's going to be the case for everybody. Not everybody's going to be willing to work it out, because some people played the role of the scarecrow. You know what I'm saying? They didn't use their brains. And if you don't use your brains, and if you're just kind of ruled by your loins, if you're ruled by your little blunt brain and you let that be what directs you in life, then you're not thinking about how things are going to play out on the long term. And some people are going to find that they are blocked. This is over, cycle completed with the world. And that might really play out in the lives of fixed signs. We're looking at Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio, right? There are people that are closing the cycle, they're done. They don't want to deal with this anymore. They've realized, what it gets them to move a certain way or entertain certain connections or head down certain roads. And they're choosing to strike out in brand new directions and bring things to a close. I do feel like there will be some kind of communications happening this week. I do feel that there will be communications where people are wanting to work things out, but I see that this is going to bring a lot of confusion when these communications come in. It's like it almost throws you back in this place of uncertainty right at a time when, whew, oh yeah, for sure. Card just flew out of my hand and landed on the floor. Yeah, it's like you built this certain level of stability and assuredness. Yeah, it requires a little bit of daring, but we know with the King of Wands energy coming up, that fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, coming up with the Page of Swords energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. We know that this is like, you built up your courage. Like, what you need to do, the action you need to take, you're getting ready to do it. And it's like, then this communication comes in. All of a sudden, this person, these people, this situation, whatever it was in your own sphere, in your own personal experience, all of a sudden there's communication that comes in around it. Now they want to talk. Now they want to work it out. Now they want to move forward. Can we move this forward? Can we work this out? And it's right at this time when you're about to take a bold action. You're about to take a bold action to step into your future. You've been weighing up this stuff for a long time. You've been at the crossroads for a long time. We see that. You were put in the 7 of Cups, 8 of Swords. That's somebody willfully manipulating you, confusing you, and purposely putting you in a mentally stuck place. Through lies, through manipulation, through doing stuff behind your back, through playing games. This is going to come in and it brings you back into this place of confusion, not knowing what to do. It churns up the emotional waters, don't you see? That too is a strategy. So you have to be mindful of this, all right? This is coming back around the bend. Okay. There is somebody coming back around the bend. This is unavoidable with the judgment here. This is always like past connection coming back up. I believe it is a love connection. Okay. With that 2 of Cups that came up, that's a soulmate. We see that there's been soulmates that have been kept apart. It looks like there's been some kind of interference or something's been happening that is not appropriate in this situation. But there's some kind of reunion happening here. It's like the block is overcome and there's a moving forward with the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. And it's sort of like the tables are turned because the people who thought that they were like getting away with that 7 of Swords stuff back there, they get taken back to the 5. And it's sort of like touche. That's what it is. It's a touche kind of energy. And now where they thought that they were going to be in a position of having like this great advancement, they find themselves in the subservient position and the shoes on the other foot where they feel this need to block themselves from the opposition. The opposition is just those arrows coming at them. It's the turnaround of the actions that were taken, you know it's the energy that was put out. And we put out an energy, it's a frequency, and that frequency aligns with what we put out there. So this is what's happening right now. It's like the people that have been going through a lot of stuff, okay, because everybody's been going through stuff, right? We all have collectively. The people who've been going through stuff where maybe you feel like you dealt with a lot of injustice or things have not been fair in your life. You feel like there's been people who've been working against you. There's been stuff happening behind your back. Maybe at times you felt ganged up on. Okay. But let's say you dealt with all of this and you didn't stoop to that level. Instead, you moved correctly. You use those experiences as an opportunity for you to really look at yourself, look at what was coming up for you. And you had to make some really tough choices, in some cases about, I got to leave this relationship, or I can't associate with these people anymore, or I'm not going to sit down and break bread with people while they're sitting there, talking about my friend, speaking down on them, and just pretend like everything's okay. No, I got to say something about this. I'm not going to be involved in these kind of dynamics. Or, you know, looking at what was happening in a work situation, maybe the way that employees were being treated that was unethical, or the way there was something that was happening that was just not right, out of integrity. Okay. It can apply to any situation, but wherever you were dealing with that, you really took an honest look, and you took an honest look at how continuing to participate or engage was actually to be in putting yourself in alignment with that energy. And you chose instead to withdraw your energy. Instead of fighting fire with fire, instead of getting embroiled in some battle, instead of engaging with drama, you pulled your energy back, you poured it into yourself, you focused on your work, your inner work, the inner chores. You got yourself right. You did what you needed to do. This is your moment. The shoe's going to be on the other foot. But the irony about it is it has nothing to do with you doing anything against these people that did anything to you. It's just that you have freed yourself from what they tried to put on you through doing all your healing work. And because of that, you're now at a place where your self-esteem is back. You're feeling good, you're feeling empowered as you did your inner work. Things started to become clear to you. You didn't feel bad about what you had to release because you realized how much it was holding you back. And so now you got this new vision. You're about to strike out in a new direction. Well, that's very disruptive. That's very disruptive to the very same people who held you back, because there was a certain energy charge they got out of the fact that they could keep you in that position, but you're stepping into your power, and that kind of disrupts plans. That highlights something to them. It's going to highlight something to them. And then that's when they're going to want to come back around. They're going to want to work things out. Also, those of you who did move correctly and you've been invested in your growth and you've been moving in that direction and you haven't been participating in this kind of stuff, you're leveling up, and so those people who maybe put you down back there or didn't believe in you or cast you aside or spoke bad on your name, now they're kind of having to eat their words because all that talk they did is being proven to be a bunch of BS because everybody's seeing the proof of where you're really at. All right. And this is big, moment of truth. Again, air sign collective. Look at this. Okay. Queen of Swords. She speaks the truth. She has the sword of truth. She's raising her hand. She's like, yeah, come at me. Say it now. Say it now. Speak the truth now. Big Libra energy. That's also that Libra energy that's going to be taking over that South node from Scorpio. It's all about, how you move right now, how you have moved up until now through this testing of that Scorpio South node. It will all be weighed up in the balance when those nodes of destiny change and you got that Libra taking over that South position, okay? That South node position. This is also, you made the choice. You made the choice to let go. You made the choice to trust. Okay. Air sign collective. You stayed in your truth. You didn't engage. We know this. Look, you let go. Four of Swords. You turned it over. You had faith. You had faith that the truth would prevail because that's what air sign does. Air sign detaches because they know that the truth will be evident. And look what it lands you in. Boom. The Emperor heading right into this position of that Aries North node. You are in alignment big time. This is significant. I have to say this because it came up in the last elemental reading we did. Air sign collective also had the Empress. So air sign collective, where you've been going through challenges, you want to just follow through. Follow through with your actions right now. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay on course. Don't get distracted by all of this going on around the periphery because you're totally in alignment. Empress, Emperor, all right? Empress, Emperor. This is a good thing, okay? This is a good thing. And it's also a clue, to the other collectives as well. What's required right now, to stop engaging with this kind of stuff, to let go, to stop trying to control. It's when we relinquish control that we move into that position of empowerment. And there's a soulmate here. All right. There is a soulmate here with this Six of Cups. This has something to do with a soulmate. I want to see top of the deck energy. Queen of Cups coming in here. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. We got, water sign collective is using their intuition here to ground out a bit. Okay. That's what I see. They might even be kind of doing a little bit of shielding at this time. Just kind of creating some boundaries. Boundaries around making a choice. They might really be considering their security when it comes to moving forward at this time and making the right choice. So they might be sort of trying to figure out the best way to move forward. This is about really working with your instincts, water sign collective. It's not just about what you feel intuitively. You really have to bring your logic into play here. It's super important. And it does involve, speaking the truth as well with the Ace of Swords. This might have been something that came up for you back at the winter time that's coming back around the bend. It's like, okay, you've waited out long enough. It's time to take an action. And it's also time to communicate a truth. Communicating this truth brings some kind of success, The truth wins out in the end. So maybe you've been holding in a truth for too long. I can see this out of security, just trying to protect yourself. Water sign collective. I did say air sign collective too. So maybe this water sign collective, you might have been holding in a truth from someone in air sign collective, something you need to speak to them. Okay. Maybe you've withheld from doing this. You've been holding it in because there's something about this that makes you feel a little insecure speaking this truth. There's some kind of communication here. The communication moves you out of this place of indecision. Okay, so you can move forward. The Lovers is always about a choice. And we know the choice, how do we find the way to the best choice? We find it with temperance, all right? So we got that temperance angel up there, about finding the balance, all right? I got so many of the same cards last night. You always confirming what spirit shows me. It's because it's the collective, it's the collective consciousness. So you tap into cards and, you'll pick up the same kind of archetypal imagery and you'll see it, you tune into reads on YouTube and there'll be like many different readers, tapped into the same stream, picking up the same symbolism. It's because it's in the collective consciousness, there's big choices to be made, and the choices to be made, there's also this piece about these are choices as well that are coming back around, to be weighed out with that Ace of Swords there's choices that were made in the past that are coming back around, and the truth of, the place where those choices were coming from, if it was coming from the shadow or if it was coming from, your more elevated consciousness, your awareness, your light, is going to be evident. It's like things are weighing out right now, and there's a lot of toxic stuff that's being cleared out with the devil. A lot of ways that you've been held back. You've been holding yourself hostage by sort of being, a slave to these vices or these impulsive urges rather than transforming the energy. There's a need to transform the energy with the strength. And again, the Empress is what tames the beast, okay? It's also about understanding where do these vices come from, we bring up the lion, okay? The cowardly lion. He needed courage, right? We have to have courage to look at these things. We have to have courage to look at these things. And it's by having the courage to sort of, be in that state of compression where it's like, oh my God, sometimes that's what it takes to really acknowledge what is at the core of why things are happening. What do you mean my live restarted? Hopefully I can catch the rest later this evening. I don't know why. I have my live is still going on this end. So maybe it's something that happened on your end or something's happening with time. I don't know. It's live. So I can't stop my live right now to find out. I guess I'll find out with the rest of you. Okay. That's very interesting. So anyway, this is all about transforming these toxic behaviors, having the courage to look at the actions we took and what the end results were of taking those actions. And maybe the reason why we took those actions was so we could actually have this view, this view of how we create our realities and really taking ownership of that. Yeah, I see this is just coming through so strongly because something that was thought was going to be happiness and bring a lot of celebration has become a source of worry. So it's pretty clear what's coming up this week is there's a lot of cleanup work. There's going to be some interesting communications that are going to be starting. All right. There's also going to be some choices to be made. I feel like those of you who, were dealt a raw deal by these people that are going to be coming back around to communicate, try to work things out with you, it's really going to be up to you to look at what you've learned out of that experience. And is this something that's going to hold you back? Or is it something that's going to move you forward? It's so interesting that Leo is strength, but many Leo I know have trouble with having or finding courage to deal upright and not from shadow and deep narcissism. I know not all of them are like that. Well, I mean, there's shadow and light to every sign, there's shadow and light to every sign. There's just right now, there's been a tendency for everybody, every sign to act out of their shadow. And the reason why there's been that tendency is because we've all been in the South Node. We've all been in this South Node of Scorpio, and we've been working through our deepest wounds. We have to remember we've also had Aries and Chiron. Okay. So that's the wound of the self. And so a lot of people have been acting out of their shadow, and there's like clean up work to be done now. I feel like this week is when everything is going to blow. It's reached that pressure point, and it's at the point where it's like, yes, now it's been so compressed. It's the spaghettification. We're at the spaghettification point. Everything has been so compressed that now it's about to move into that expansion, to be stretched. Okay. Some people may feel like it's stretching them beyond their means, all right? But it's necessary. It's necessary because we have to understand that, nobody gets away with the Seven of Swords. Nobody does. Whether we're sabotaging ourselves or whether we're trying to sabotage others, when we move in that way, there's always, the piper always has to be paid. The piper always has to be paid. So there's something going on here to look at, but it requires courage on behalf of everybody to look at these things. It also takes courage to be the empress. Okay. To be able to go and to hold space, to have a communication with somebody who maybe bit them before, right? Look at the empress puts the hands in the jaws of the lion. She's calm. She's balanced. She doesn't fight with it. It's because she understands that the reason why these people behaved in this way is because they have deep wounding. This is when we like elevate the energy and we understand people have been acting out of their shadow. And yeah, I'm not okay that these lies happened. I'm not okay that this betrayal went down. I'm not okay that people worked against me in this way or lied on my name or moved unethically or whatever it is. But there's always a choice, even in those situations, about how you move and how you handle them. Do you go tit for tat? That's not wise. And this is where the Tin Man comes in. You got to have a heart. You can't let people take you out of your heart. You can't let people take you out of that space, because those of you who did move correctly, those of you who didn't fight fire with fire, those of you who chose to do your healing work, maybe when you were treated unfairly, you got a 10 of cups on the way, and you can't sabotage that. And so while you may hold space for these communications, you may hold space, you may have these conversations, okay, and you may have compassion. It's up to you, if you allow these people to actually play a role in your life again, okay? Because we have the Three of Pentacles energy. That's a working together energy. These people are going to be coming back around because they want to work with you. And you making this choice has everything to do with you really remembering what you went through and your own dark night of the soul with this star, okay? Because you're heading toward that happiness. We see that came in, the sun came in. You're at this arrival point. You're about to move out of this process of cleansing, releasing, healing, letting go, to step into that star, into that happiness. But you got people coming around now who didn't move correctly, and they are wanting to work with you now that they see that you're at this point where you finally got over it and you're ready to move forward. I do see look at this. We got the Page of Wands. Okay, so again, fire is coming in with air. I'll show you why. So we got the Page of Wands. That's Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This is also communication coming forward. Communication that really has purpose behind it, communication that may even have passion behind it. We got the Nine of Cups coming in with this. It's emotion forward, a communication that can lead to wish fulfillment. And what do we got there? Justice. All right. Libra energy again. Okay. Air sign collective really coming out strongly, especially that Libra energy. There's that sword of truth again. Here's a balancing of the scales. I'm telling you, it's coming in very strongly for fire and air that this is really a time of seeing the scales balance. And there's some kind of wish fulfillment coming in for you. We see it right here with the 3 of Wands. This is finally those ships showing up on the horizon. And I think you waited for a long, long, long time for this, okay? With this Knight of Pentacles, this is like the slowest moving energy, the slowest moving energy. And again, I feel, look at the fields were barren, okay? I believe that's because there was Earth was holding this up. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn coming in really strongly. But there's nothing that's going to stop this now. Look at, we got Knight of Swords with the Knight of Wands. There we go. Air, fire moving forward together. Look what it brings. It brings the 10 of Pentacles. Okay. These are two energies working together to bring fulfillment, tangible success to the 10 of Pentacles. And it brings an electrifying tower. And those who oppressed now find that they are the ones experiencing the ending with the 10 of Swords to the 10 of Wands. Look at that, air and fire delivering the blow. It's such a trip. Boom. 5 of Pentacles. Now they're finding the shoe on the other foot. I didn't expect that to come out, but that's what's coming out. And right here, look what we got. We got the Empress to Emperor. These are people that are meant to connect. These are people that were held back from each other, or this is an opportunity that was held back from you. There was interference in this situation. You have been compressed to your limit. You have been under a lot of pressure. You went through a lot of loss. You were treated unfairly. You've had a lot of sleepless nights over this. The tables are turning. It might even be with the way this came out with the Queen of Cups that she could move out of a place of, feeling like guarded and needing to kind of guard, protect the self. It could be a Queen of Cups. It could be a water sign energy bringing this truth forward, or there's some truth that this water sign energy has been withholding that's key. Something's coming forward here. We know the truth will be known because the Tower already came in. Tower brings down anything that's false, all right? But we do have a coming together here. For some people, this is happening in the realm of a relationship. You have been held back from somebody. There's been somebody interfering in your connection. We know these are two people that are supposed to be connected. We know this because we have the Emperor and the Empress. We also had the 6 of Cups, okay? So when we got the 6 of Cups, that is a soulmate connection. We also had the Judgment. And Judgment often deals with somebody that there's a past connection with. So when we're looking at Judgment, this could be, of course, somebody you've been involved with before in the past, or an opportunity that you had in the past. But it can also be, this is like soul recognition, like you've had lifetimes with this person. It's that kind of energy. There's some truth being revealed, and it brings forward something very swiftly that was held up for a long time. And for some reason, this thing coming together brings a tower. It brings a tower to others, those who tried to hold it back. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. I was not expecting that, but what was compressed is about to be stretched, right? It's like the impossible becoming possible. And it also makes me think of time bending. It's like this thing has been held back, has been interfered with for a long time, and now it's about to move forward very rapidly. It's almost like to make up for lost time. I got that message. I really feel like getting an angel card on this. Look, the sun on the bottom of this deck too. Double sun. Nahil, the vivifying God, restoration of life, protection from adversaries, rabies and wild beasts. And remember that with the strength, with the Empress has the hand in the lion's mouth. Ooh, some of you are dealing with a Leo. We have a lot of Leo significators on the board. We have the sun, we have the strength, we have a lot of lion reference. We also have the world, which Leo is a fixed sign. Some of you were dealing with an interfering Leo. Could have been a Cancer Leo cusper, because we do have that water sign energy came in. Or this Leo could be like an intuitive. They could be somebody that has intuitive abilities. They could do some kind of metaphysical work, or they could be some kind of witchy kind of person, you know. They bit you before. It doesn't look like you're going to be fooled again, okay? You're protected from rabies and wild beasts. This person might be frothing at the mouth when they realize that things have backfired. I could absolutely see this for those who do workings and, you know, do manipulative workings, that did any kind of like binding or anything like this. That's about to come around the bend, because, you know, the piper always needs to be paid. Sometimes, you know, people talk a lot about hex work and stuff, and yeah, you know, if you let your guard down, you know, if you have fear, or maybe if you're just in a really vulnerable state, if you've been really tired and working really hard, or somehow your boundaries are just, you know, you don't have good boundaries, you don't have good like energy management. Sometimes if somebody tries to put something on you, you can like take it into your space too easily, but it's because you're not really managing your energy, and that can like hold you back, and it can like sort of like clog up your channels of manifestation, where you just feel blocked and stuck and thwarted. But once you really start managing your own energy, once you pull your energy back from situations that you find activating, or that just take you out of your peace, and you start really working on running your own energy, it's really easy to clear anything out of your space like that. And some of you are, you know, you're adepts. You've been working the path of alchemy for a while, you know when somebody's trying to put something on you. And this piece is coming in. I do believe that there's people out there that have been doing workings. You know, there are people out there who like to play like that. You know, they feel some weird sense of empowerment out of it, but it's actually more a sign of their weakness than it is a sign of their strength, because just to have to try to control somebody through those means implies a certain level of insecurity, right? But this is the thing. It's like, even in cases where somebody's out there casting like negative spell work, it's like ultimately it all works for good in the end, because what happens is that energy comes back around the bend. And when they don't achieve the objective, when, it doesn't work out the way they thought, when they start to lose their grasp or their control in the situation, they're thrown back upon themselves. And then they have to really like look at the choices they've made. They have to look at themselves. They have to look at their own shadow. And it's sort of like having to own what you created, what you tried to create for others. You have to own it for yourself. And there's some kind of self-reflection that happens there that can lead to healing. So, this doesn't have to be a negative thing at all. Um, it can be, a pain in the butt to deal with when you got people that are always trying to like, bring you down or work against you. It can be a little bit like a fly. It's a fly kind of energy. It's nothing to take seriously. It's just, swat it and it goes away. But for the person, who does these kind of workings, and I know I'm on something, I'm getting sentience, my nose keeps itching. So, but for the person who does these kind of workings, it's like, it's also an important lesson for them in their spiritual growth on their path. So I'm of the belief that ultimately all things work for good, and sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes people need to just own their actions, and that's the best thing that can happen for them. they can learn a valuable lesson from that. And that applies whether somebody's done workings or whether somebody, has just moved incorrectly, did what they wouldn't want done to them. Yeah, we see this. Knight of Swords in reverse, Hariel. Okay, Knight of Swords in reverse. That's somebody like speaking words too soon, saying things that just fly out of their mouth that do permanent damage. Sometimes you speak things into existence, they can't be taken back. And now certainly that certainly can apply to spell work, right? That's one way of speaking things into existence. But it's also remembering this piece that anytime you use your communication in a way where your heart and your soul and your emotions, everything is in alignment, and wherever that's coming from, whether you're coming from a place of coldness in your heart, and you're angry and you speak those words, it's like a manifestation point. So we're always casting spells, just the way we use our communication. And we see that this is kind of like the basis of the matter that's been a problem. It was Knight of Swords in reverse. It's moving forward too impetuously, not thinking about how actions could really affect, the bigger picture. It's just kind of going with the flow of the moment, saying things, just in the spur of the moment, being too reactive, not really considering how those words land, the damage they do. Sometimes words can't be taken back. Sometimes trust can't be restored. It's sort of like these impulsive actions coming back around the bend to be looked at, to be weighed at, to be experienced. This is also kind of um, a cautionary bit of guidance coming through for air sign collective when you do have these people come back around that want to try to work things out with you, or maybe speak a truth to you that they know won't be well received. It's about you really tempering yourself and staying out of that reactive place so you don't bite people's heads off or you say things that you will come to regret later. Remember what you've learned in this process of, just tempering yourself and everything you experience so there isn't more damage incurred, okay? The all-pervading God, intellectual richness, protects fertility of women, makes children respectful towards their parents. And again, this reminds me of, have the strength, okay? Have the strength. And it reminds me again of the Empress energy, because the Empress bursts all new things into being. That's what she does. When Empress shows up on the scene, she signals a time of abundance, fertility in our lives, where all things come to bloom. We're looking good. We're feeling good. Health on point. Bank account on point. Just really feeling in our element, celebrating our lives. Okay. We know that Empress is coming in. You've got to have strength to stay in that energy. Okay. You don't want to lose that center. You have to have strength to stay in this Empress energy. Remember what you learned in the past. Don't let this lion bite you, okay? Protect yourself from the rabies. You got to keep yourself from foaming at the mouth, all right? This is so important. I know this is coming forward so strongly for Air Sign Collective. Queen of Swords, upright, okay? Speak your truth, stand your ground. You're smart to still wield that sword, all right? You can't forget what happened, but you don't want to dive down to that area of, acting out of your shadow because you feel like, well, now that the tables are turned, it's my opportunity to get the licks in, all right? You don't want to do that. That's a way you can sabotage yourself, okay? Use your words powerfully, truthfully, but don't lose your compassion. Don't lose the lessons you've learned, because those words are ritual and ceremony, and you can acquire all the treasures of heaven and earth, Air Sign Collective. But it's very important that in doing so, okay, in doing so, you don't lose the medicine of what you gained from all you had to temper, or you'll blow it. All right? You'll blow it. You'll lose the plot. Yeah, you have to end the old cycle. 10 of Swords. A lot of you are going to be ending cycles with people, okay? You're going to be ending cycles with people. You'll hear them out. You'll hear what they have to say. You know, you'll have that last conversation. You'll have that closure. But you're planning on 10 of Swordsing this. With 10 of Swords, Luia, the marvelous God. Revelation protects from sadness. Gives revelation in dreams, it says too. So pay attention to what's coming up in your dream life. It's really significant right now. All right. You might have some subconscious material coming up. Maybe you'll be working out those last little remainders of shadow through your dreams. Absolutely. You know, binding spells never work out because what you bind to you. But a lot of people don't recognize that love spells are also binding spells. Anytime that you are working against somebody else's free will, you are doing a binding. And what you bind to you. And if you're doing workings against an enemy, then you actually bind to you, the enemy. But here's the trick. The enemy is within, as symbolized by that devil card that came up. The enemy is within. You enslave yourself. And that's why I say all things work towards good, because it's an important lesson on the path, okay? And speaking just in terms of the craft, every witch worth her salt has to burn their fingers. It's just the way it is. You have to get burned by power to understand how to wield it wisely. And if you haven't gotten burned by power, then that lesson will still remain. It's kind of like a rite of passage on the path of the craft, okay? Now, you know, and I know that it's the case, even in the case of protection bindings, okay? You know, I did a protection binding once. I had taken all practical measures to, you know, do what I needed to do to protect myself in this situation, and nothing was working. And so I took this final, you know, step, and I did a protection binding, and it was just to keep myself safe, okay? And that was a big mistake. I burned my fingers, okay? Because, you know, when you do, even though it was properly motivated, even though I had reason to do that, even though I was being harassed, it didn't matter. It bound it to me. And it ended up being like the worst thing I could have done in the situation. That was my folly. That was my folly as a young witch. That was my folly as a young witch, you know? So, you know, that's the thing, you know, but sometimes people do stuff like that and they think that they got away with it. They have this like false idea that they got away with it, but they actually didn't get away with it. It's just they haven't gotten to the part where they received the lesson from it yet. And it's not, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be this thing where it's like, oh, you know, it comes back to you 3 times over. No, it's not really about that. But I guess you could look at it this way in terms of threefold. It's that you will embody your works, mind, body, spirit, you know, the energy that you put out, you're going to experience it, mind, body, spirit, you know, because that is your energy that you put out there. And if you did a binding, you're going to feel bound in your mind, body, and spirit. And it may take time to see the results of that. It often takes a while before somebody realizes, it's like, oh, I get why I feel stuck. I get why I feel like this energy is just hanging on to me and I can't release it and I can't let it go. I get it now. But even beyond spell work, there's many ways that people bind people in their lives. And sowing seeds of confusion is a way that people bind others and work against their will. Withholding the truth is a way that people bind others and hold them hostage against their free will. Omitting truth is another way that we bind people. It's an abuse of power. So you can do it with a little bibbity bobbity boo, or you can do it just by moving like an asshole. It doesn't matter. Either way, at the end of the day, it does come out in the wash. We know that. It always comes back around. And oh, the tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. Ace of Cups, Nethahiel, rejuvenation obtains the mercy of God and gives long life. Okay. So there is healing coming here. All right. What's happening here, even for those who may experience kind of the destructive end of things, there's going to be those of you out there in the collective that are going to be delivering a tower. All right. And it's your moment to have the balance you've needed in your life. 1:16 on the clock. All right. There's going to be others of you who are going to be on the receiving end of a tower, and you're going to realize that you've been lying to yourself, or you're going to realize I didn't move correctly back there. And now those actions are coming back around to bite me in the ass. Okay. However you receive this tower, it's coming in such a way where it's really for purification, for spirit to pour back through you, or your higher consciousness to get back online, so you can really make choices from a new place of clarity. And there is this like rejuvenation that comes through it, because any time that we see the truth, that's a liberation. We get free. We all get free when the truth is evident. Even those who moved incorrectly, even those who were doing shady stuff, that were lying and maneuvering like this, that's a stress. To have to like always remember what lie you told this person, what you told that person, to always feel like you have to look over your shoulder, like you have to be concealing something all the time, you know, that's no way to live. That's not a pleasurable way to live. It's a very stressful way to live. So we know that rejuvenation comes when all things are out on the table. Okay. And then we can really move forward, right? We can move forward in a new way. And some people will be finally having their like moment where it's like, oh, thank you. I was thinking for a minute, maybe life forgot about me. I went through all this crap. I moved correctly. I've been doing the right thing. I've been trying to really like temper myself. I've been trying to respond to situations. I've been trying not to engage, and I've been doing it, man. I've been doing the work, and I've been feeling like I'm sitting here parched. Those of you who've been feeling like that, here comes your new beginning with the Ace and the Cups and Fool. Okay, it's going to pour into you. Again, coming in really strongly for fire sign collective. We got air and fire really strongly coming in with receiving this relief. All right. You're going to feel rejuvenated. All right. You're going to feel like you got a brand new beginning with the Fool energy here. The Fool, exalting God. Will and new beginnings assist with difficult and great undertakings. Okay. So what's starting now is very significant. Very significant. And we got King of Wands here, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, Daniel. God, the merciful judge, eloquence gives answers to those in doubt. Okay. So again, there's this piece, you know, that there's been people who have been held back from connecting, or there's been some kind of confusion or misinformation or lies or gossip or some kind of meddling influence that have kept two people apart. I feel like this is coming back around the bend. These people are finally getting on the same board. They're having a communication. There's some kind of communication that comes forward that dispels all the doubt. And this is what gets things moving forward. And it's not about punishing these other people and how they moved, because what I'm really getting from this read is there's a big need to let go of all of that. Okay. You can't go and do this like tit for tat thing right now. You can't get sucked into drama. You can't go to these spaces, because if you go to these spaces, you're just going to get mired back. You're going to bind yourself back into the energy again, right? And you're going to go back down in that self. No, don't do this. Don't do this. You got Empress to Emperor. This is like being really in alignment. This is like you're getting your moment. You're getting your moment of your victory lap. Like you overcame that stuff. It was tough. You didn't know how you would do it, but you've done it. So don't go and blow it now. Don't blow it now. All right. Don't drop the ball now. And those of you who have to kind of have some reckoning, don't fight it. It's not about fighting it. It's not about plotting further. It's not about trying to figure out, like, going back to the drawing board. Well, how can I screw this up now? Don't you get it? Like, it's done. With the world, it's done. It's over. Whatever it was, it's done. It's done. And so it's time to just accept what you find showing up on your doorstep, and work with it in such a way where it brings healing into your life, where it elevates your expression and what you bring forward in life. Okay, let's just see any final guidance here, angels, that we need to receive in regard to this. Woo! Woo! Ace of Swords. There. Coming up in the crossing influence. I love it. Ace of Swords. It's the sword of truth. It's the truth. So that was just big confirmation. This is truth. This is what's going down. We've had the Ace of Swords come out more than once in this read. We know that truth is about to be revealed, and it's about accepting the truth, okay, and working with the truth and moving forward in the truth, having integrity, all right, not holding the truth back, not being economic with the truth, and also being the embodiment of your truth in the choices that you're making and how you're moving forward. And being decent about that. Don't be the wizard hiding behind the curtain, okay? Because eventually, just like the fool, that little dog Toto is going to come along and going to pull back that curtain and reveal the truth and reveal who's been behind the scenes pulling the strings and manipulating, all right? So this is a big time of truth. There's something going down this week. It is a pulling the curtain back from the wizard moment. And it's also a great victory where people who've been on a long road trying to find their way home are going to finally see that horizon coming into view. Ace of Swords, Umabel, God above all names elevated, affinity and friendship. Obtain the friendship of anyone, right? So you got friends in high places, spirits looking out for you. Some of you are going to have some cleanup work to do. It's okay. All things happen for a reason. They're all lessons on the path. We're all here to grow. We're all here to elevate. And that's what I got for you this week. It's a pretty dicey week. I did a love spell in my 20s and I learned it took a long time to get rid of him. I was dumb and young. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I always tell people don't do love spells. Ever. They're just, there's no way that's going to turn out well at all, Love spells tend to get really harsh backlash, I think, because not only is it a binding, but it's like working against the energy of love. And so it's like accrues extra lashings, you really have to learn some fierce lessons. I've done a lot of work with people helping them clean up the results of their love spells. It's probably, when I've supported people in that way, it's probably the thing I get addressed with most. People who did a love spell that went awry and they don't understand why they're in such dire circumstances. It's like, yeah, it never turns out well. And it never turns out well. And it seems like there's always somebody in the situation that gets really scary. Somebody in the situation gets really obsessive, really controlling. The energy gets real sketchy, man. Just real sketchy and frightening, frightening and ugly and clingy and hard to let go of, hard to shake. Yeah, love spells are bad. Bad. So when any of you all ever see on, these tarot reads, these people talking about, I'll help you get your love back. Don't get suckered into that stuff, man, because that stuff is bad juju. Bad juju. Bad, 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 bad. Yeah, it's probably the thing I have to clean up most for people. And it's mostly really young people that work with love spells. I should hope so. I should really, really hope so. That it's mostly young people that do that, because if you're a grown ass, adult and you're doing love spells, that's a whole different issue. That's a matter of, you should go and maybe get some therapy or something along those lines. But I think that a lot of really, young people, they're drawn to that kind of stuff. They want the goodies. They want to play with magic, and they don't really understand what they're messing with. I did workings when I was like, 14. I think it was 14, 15 years old. I think it was 15. I did a working with a friend of mine. We wanted to get back at these guys. We just wanted to teach them a lesson. So we did something a little mean. We wanted to ruin their date for the night. We wanted to ruin their date for the night because they weren't being right with us. We did it. And actually, we got away with that one. That was kind of funny. We had to do like, what we wanted to have to happen to them, which was, we wanted them to get rejected on their date and for them to have a horrible time. And that's exactly what happened to them. But we were supposed to pay for it by having something bad to happen to us physically. So I chose that I was going to have really bad cramps. And my friend chose that they were going to stub their toe. But it was funny because in middle of doing the working, which involved, putting some things on ice, in middle of doing the working, we both felt guilty about it. And we'd been hanging out that night. I was a wild child, so was she. And we'd had a few drinks that night, and we were just kind of, we were messing around. We didn't really take it seriously. We were just playing around. We thought it would be fun. Um, we thought it would be fun. And so we did this working, right? And then we put it in the freezer to freeze, and went back to enjoying our drinks and just being general, rebellious teenagers. And then after a couple drinks, we were like, I don't know, should we have done that? Is that really right? That's not really right. That's not cool. I mean, I know they're jerks, but should we do that? I don't know. We started, like, our conscience got activated. We started feeling bad about it. We're like, let's take it out. Let's not freeze it. And so I don't know if it's because we had this moment where we, like, kind of checked ourselves and we're like, that's not right. We shouldn't do it. But we took it out. We took it out of the freezer, right? And it was too late. It's already frozen. We're like, oh no, no, we gotta own it, man. We gotta own this. This is horrible. But what ended up happening is, shortly after that, one of the guys, okay, because it was both, each of us, our guys, they were friends and they were going to date these other girls, and they were like pulling some shady playa stuff with us, right? So we wanted to get back at them. We wanted them to have a horrible date and get rejected. Well, one of the guys called. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's him. And I get on the phone with him. I'm talking to him, and I'm like, what are you calling here for? Like, I thought you were like off on some date with the twins. And it was funny because he was like, no, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. Like, they gave us total attitude when we came to pick them up. And they said they weren't planning on going on any date with us, and they slammed the door in our faces. And I was like, oh, it worked. But then I was like, oh shit, now we're gonna have these cramps and stub her toe. Like, this isn't gonna be fun. I don't want to have to pay for this, but I have to pay the price. I have to pay the piper. But it was funny because as I was talking to him, he's like, oh gosh, do you know how to get rid of cramps? And I was like, what? What do you mean? He's like, my stomach hurts. Do you know how to get rid of cramps? And I was like, oh my gosh, well, you need some ibuprofen or something. So he was going to get himself a soda out of the fridge. He's talking to me on the phone. He's talking about how bad his stomach hurts. And on his way to get his soda, he's all, ow! He stubbed his toe. So he ended up getting both. He ended up getting, so they must have deserved it. I don't know. Maybe, maybe it's because we had a moment of conscience. I don't know. But all I have to say is you never know how it's going to turn out. And it's sketchy. Sketchy. But matters of heart, you don't want to mess around with that kind of stuff because it has long-term repercussions in any kind of binding. Like I was saying, even in my situation, I did a protection binding, and it was very necessary at the time. I had every it's a great story. I love telling it. I've been on this path for a long time. I've been working with this stuff for a long time. Even when I was a little girl, I was drawn to magic. I was drawn to fairy. I was out, connecting with nature, connecting with the elements. So, I've been on this path a long time. And yeah, I've seen it all, and I know it can happen. And I've helped a lot of people who come to the path, that are like getting their chops and figuring it out. And I do my best to help them avoid pitfalls because it's just not worth it. But yeah, I just think it's love. Just even love spells where people are like, well, I don't have a target. I just want to find a new love. No, because the thing is usually by that point when somebody wants to do something like that, even if they're like, well, I'm not going to put it on a certain person, subconsciously, they're already attracted to somebody. And so that subconscious influence is going to come out in their working. It's like sort of unavoidable, you know? It's unavoidable. That's why the path is endless purification, because to work with any kind of alchemy, you're constantly having to purify yourself, purify your motives, doing your shadow work. It's a path that requires a lot of responsibility, actually. And so, yeah, you have to really consider your motives. And I just think it's better off just leave it alone, leave it alone. Just do workings to connect with the love inside of yourself. I usually don't do workings. Sometimes I'll do like a quick money spell or, something like that, something fun, that doesn't involve anybody else. It's just about something I want to obtain for myself. But I don't even do that very often. Most of the workings I do are all about my personal growth, my personal healing. And I like to work with magic in that way. I use it for true alchemy, to refine myself or to gain in my sense of personal empowerment, to gain more insight, more clarity, these kind of workings. That's what I would do, or to dive into my sensuality, or cast a little glamour, just like attune my energy to a certain frequency. That's how I work with spell work. I don't like to do stuff that involves, other people, but I get people that approach me a lot asking me if I'll do a love spell for them or if I'll do a spell to block this person from them. I'm like, oh hell no, I'm not taking on that shit for you. No. No. Oh, so yeah, that's what I got for today. And I also wanted to drop in on our next lesson, which I haven't been able to even look at what the next lesson is, because I was so busy through the weekend. And I will look at that. But we have another lesson coming up. So I don't know if you got a chance to look at it, Julie, so I can mention it in this live. We just got through beauty. Okay, so now we're heading into our 5th week of the Kapha Reset course. For those of you who are working with that, we're actually um, 11 days until reaching, our 40 days together. Only 11 more days. So we're at the 11 point. Isn't that interesting? An alignment point. I've been around people on this path my whole life. I know I did a lot of spell work in other lives, not played with it in this life because we don't know the outcome. I agree with you for self transformation. Yeah. You know, it's kind of like a teeny bopper thing, to be honest with you. Most people that do spells like that, like love spells and stuff like that, and it's usually really young people, you know. They get drawn in by the Hollywood stuff. They've seen The Craft. They want to be like Nancy, you know. It's that kind of stuff. It's not but that's not really what the path is. That's not what the craft is about. That's one of the reasons why, you know, I've wanted to talk openly, you know, about my life as a witch on BroadCoven, because I see so much BS, you know, on YouTube, people talking about witches, and it's like, you're not even a witch. How do you even know? You're just buying into this stupid stuff that Hollywood has told you about, you know, has told you about what a witch is. And it's a nature based spirituality. And, you know, we honor the seasons, the flow of the seasons. We've stayed connected to the land. We've stayed connected to the spirits of the land. We remember the old gods. Yes, there were gods that predated the gods you hear about in the Bible. Okay. You know, it's true. It's true. You know, and people get so attached to these things. Even in the Bible, it says that there are many gods. It says that in the Bible. And I'm somebody who's studied both. You know, it talks about the counterpart, you know, talks about, you know, Shekinah, the counterpart to masculine God, talks about goddess. That's all, it's all there, you know. And how about the voodoo priest selling spells? What kind of karma he got? Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that in, because this is something I want to speak to, is that there's this whole thing about voodoo also that's put out um on YouTube in Tarot Land. And it's something that really angers me, because voodoo is a very sacred tradition, and it is a tradition um that is rooted for the people of Haiti, and all kinds of you know, different cross-cultural connections around that, that you can, you know, trace back to the African diaspora. And voodoo as a tradition is very much about, again, being connected with the land, being connected with spirit. It's about the embodiment of spirit, and it's so rich in its music and in its dance and in its art and its sense of community. It's a beautiful tradition. It's a beautiful tradition that has been demonized, as many traditions in the African diaspora tradition have been demonized. And it's complete BS, because we got into this piece about the ancestral piece. You know, you had all of these colonizers come in and strip these cultures of their rich spiritual traditions and indoctrinate them into Christianity. And this is why we have things like Santeria, because these traditions had to then start to hide themselves in the saints. This is how you got hoodoo. It's how hoodoo came forward, that the saints took on the representation of the different orishas. Okay, so when I hear voodoo being put out the way it's being put out, you know, on YouTube by different readers, it actually angers me, because it's spreading misinformation. Voodoo is a beautiful, rich spiritual tradition. And it's not all about people going out and like putting roots on people or doing dark workings or, you know, anything along those lines. You know, you will have in any tradition people who behave out of the shadow. You will have that in Christianity. I mean, we've seen that with all the child abuse that's in, you know, Christianity. Okay. We have seen that in every spiritual tradition. There are witches who are out there acting out their lower natures, and they're casting hexes. There are people that do manipulative root work. You know, it doesn't matter the tradition. It does not matter. people have shadow, they have light. And there's a lot of unraveling and unlearning and deprogramming that we need to do around that, especially when it comes to cross-cultural spiritual traditions that are being demonized, and this same like constrictive oppressive, talk about a compression point, okay, this same constrictive oppressive programming that came in from the colonizers is now being parroted by those who actually their ancestors practiced those traditions. And it's actually their empowerment to connect with the roots of their ancestral spiritual traditions. There's so much unlearning that needs to happen. So much unlearning, you know. It's very, very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. And I've tried to talk to readers sometimes about that. I've tried to bring that forward, and I've tried to say, hey, could you stop like associating voodoo with something negative? Will you stop associating it with, poppets, working with, voodoo dolls, which, by the way, voodoo dolls are not just used as a way to harm, okay? Voodoo dolls can be used for healing. They can be used for healing. They can be used to work with somebody who's sick and direct healing energy into the body. Again, it's misinformation, and it's people talking about things that they have no understanding of, that they've never even bothered to look into, that they've never bothered to even have a conversation with somebody who practices within that tradition to hear the truth. I think it's important that, people stop making blanket judgments and assumptions about people according to their spiritual traditions or, their cultural backgrounds, or, it's all just ignorance. And there's so much need for relearning and unlearning, unlearning and relearning from the source, relearning from the source. I've tried to talk to readers about that when they put it forth there, and I've told them, I'm like, what you're bringing forward, that's racist. It's racist. You're equating this with something evil, and you are disrespecting an entire culture, and it's not right. And they came off on me like I'm being foul. No, I'm just calling you on your BS. I'm calling you on your BS. So yeah, it's another reason why we need to communicate, and we need to talk, and we need to have spaces where we can bring in whatever needs to come in, because, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and people just kind of accept things, this has been proven, how many times has somebody just posted something on Facebook, it's a bunch of BS, but it becomes the truth. And then everybody's talking about, this thing that happened that was completely made up, completely fabricated. It's why it's so important that we expose things, and when we see things that aren't right, or we hear things that aren't right, or, we notice something in ourselves that's wanting to, move in a way that's out of integrity, that we do the uncomfortable work of calling it out or calling ourselves out. It's so necessary. So necessary. So I guess just tune in for those of you going through the Kapha course, because I can't remember what lesson it is this week. I didn't get a chance to look at it over the weekend, and I haven't done it since last year. But we're moving into week 5 lessons, so go ahead and give it a read. I'm going to drop in and I'm going to read it tonight. So tomorrow I'll have the live focus on that a bit. So hopefully you can get a chance to read it. And if you have any questions or, anything you want to bring in, any experiences in regard to it, we can take care of that on the live tomorrow. But we're entering our last 11 days together, So, yeah, it's quite wild. We've made it this far. I feel so different. I'm so glad I've done it. I just feel like my energy is different. I'm feeling really positive. I feel really empowered. My body shifted a lot. I feel like I'm looking more radiant. I still got AMA, but my malabsorption's gone. So that's a plus. I don't have my malabsorption anymore. So things are really continuing to improve. So is that everything? Any questions? Take a little sip here for a moment before I tune out. I will be bringing on the Libra love read. I feel very different too. Lots more good energy and happiness, serotonin building, the ginger. Yeah, I'm feeling really good. And did you have that experience that Ken had? Did the video drop out at a certain point? Julie, did you have that experience? Or was that just on Ken's end? Or did you receive the feed the whole time? I assume you did because you kept communicating with me. So I came in at 9 minutes. So no. Okay, good. Well, it was well after 9 minutes. He said that well after I'd been on 9 minutes. He said that 39 minutes in it dropped off. So if you came in at 9 minutes and no, it didn't drop off, then that was just on his end. That scared me. When people say that on a live, or they're like, "You fell off, you disappeared," and then like later they're like, "Oh, it was just on my end." Like I spend the whole live like worrying. Thank you. I was worried. I was like, "Oh no, I hope that all that wasn't lost," because that was like big download came in there. All right, but I will be getting out the Libra Spring Fever wild card love read later today, and yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. Go ahead and read the Copper Reset lesson 5. I don't remember what it is. I think it might be Fortify. I'm pretty sure. I think it's Fortify. So we'll talk about fortification tomorrow and how that relates to kapha. I'm not quite sure what the whole, drop-in will be, but maybe we'll just do some straight Ayurveda for tomorrow's drop-in. That might be kind of cool. Look at fortification. It's good because right now is a time of really fortifying our boundaries too. So, all right. I'm out of here. Have a wonderful day. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for showing up. I'll see you all tomorrow.